strange. All right. So, hello Giuseppe, hello Can, hello Al Farouk, hello En route, hello Mrs. Asma, and Ki-yun, and Yama, hello. Where's my iced coffee? Right there. Did I sleep well? So. I rarely sleep well. There are times when I actually enjoy being sick, because sometimes when I'm sick, I actually sleep really well. So it's kind of funny, but I actually enjoy being sick sometimes just because I get more sleep. Hello, John. Hello, Daffy. Hello, Lady Anne. I'm fine. Yes, today we're going to talk about etymology again. I have done more research for you to find some more interesting words to talk about. So that's what we're going to do today. Yeah, me too. I sleep more when I'm sick, so sometimes it's not such a bad thing. Maybe that's why you're sick, right? I mean, I know that's why I get sick sometimes because I just don't rest enough. All right. So, yes, today we're going to talk about etymology. Etymology, which means the history of where words come from. Where do the words come from? What do they mean? What do they mean now compared to what did they mean when they were started, when they were created? How have they changed over time? And many English words have very interesting stories that make it easy to remember them. So I'm going to try to help you with that today. So that means if you have other questions, you will have to wait. You'll have to wait until I'm finished with my topic today, or you will have to wait until next time. It depends. Sometimes I finish my topic quickly, and then I can answer other questions, but maybe not. So you may need to hold your questions about other things until another time. Okay? Just let me look over my notes a few more minutes here before we get started. There are only 30 people here. I want to wait until about 50 or more are here, and then we will start. Kiyun wants to know, no one knows who first created English, right? Well, Kiyun, no language is really created by one person, with the exception of maybe Esperanto. But all languages, they evolve, they develop organically. So, yes, we do know where English comes from and how it was created and what people were involved about the creation of English. We do know that. But we can't say it was Bob. Bob did it. No, it's never one person, right? It's a whole group or groups of people. And English has many, many groups of people involved in it. Okay? Yeah, Bob did it. Bob always is the guy. He's the one who's responsible. Blame it on Bob. But if you want to know, while we're waiting, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the quick version of how English was created. Now, if I wanted to, I could tell. I could talk about this for 2 or 3 hours, but I'll give you the 5 minute version. Okay, so how was English created? English began, of course, in England, but it wasn't England yet, right? There was no country called England at that time, but there were some groups of people. We'll call them tribes. Okay, there were some tribes that were living there, and one of the tribes that were living there were the Angles. Okay, and then there were also some Celtic groups and some other local groups that were there in England. Then across the water, not across the pond, but across the channel, the English Channel, the northern part of Europe at that time, the northern part of Europe right across from the UK, that was called the Germanic area. Okay, so south of that was the French area, but north of that was the Germanic area. And in the Germanic area, there were a couple of tribes there, the Saxons and the Jutes. And there were a couple of other tribes too, but the big ones are the Saxons and the Jutes. And then the Saxons, they crossed over the channel. They came over to England and they mixed with those groups that were in England, the Angles and the Celtic groups there. And so that's the original group. And that's why English is considered a Germanic language, because those two tribes that came from Northern Europe came from the area that was called the Germanic area at the time. It wasn't Germany, because again, this is before the time of countries as we know them now. Okay, at the time it was more like kingdoms or territories, right? But not really countries. Okay, but so then those groups came over to England and they mixed there. But at that time, there was another group of people that were in control of the whole part of Europe, right? So who was controlling Europe at that time? A long time ago, who was mostly in control of all of Europe? Do you know? The Romans. That's right, the Romans. And what language did the Romans use? What language did the Romans use? Not Italian, Matteo. Before Italian. Latin. And Latin was the language of the Roman Empire. Latin was the language of the Christian Empire as well. So Latin became a very important influence on English because the Roman Empire. Okay, so now we have the early English groups, and they're mixing with the Latin language. And then, who did the English fight with a lot? Who did the English fight with a lot? French. That's right, the French. Okay, so for hundreds of years, the French and the English have fought back and forth. All right? And when any two groups of people fight back and forth, that means that you're going to have language that's going to exchange, culture that's going to exchange, food that will exchange, lots of things that exchange. So, for example, 30% of English words they derive from French. And the reason why was because when the French controlled England, right, sometimes they won. And when they won, they were the ruling group, the ruling class, the ruling group was the French. So French became the language in England. And that's why so many French words have become part of English. Okay, and also one more group of people, the Vikings. The Vikings were the northern European groups above the Germanic area. So the place that we call Finland and Denmark and Sweden and that area up there, That was the Northern European people. They were called the Norse people, the Norse peoples. And the Norse peoples were Vikings, and they used to fight and trade a lot with the people in the English islands. So there is a lot of Viking Norse influence in the English language. Okay? So 60% of English comes from Latin or Greek, 30% comes from French, 20% comes from German. We also have many words that come from Spanish or Italian and Arabic and Hindi and Persian and Chinese and Japanese. Okay? So that's one of the reasons why English is kind of difficult in some ways, because there are so many languages that mixed together, and we kept parts of all of them. So we keep parts of the spelling from this language and the spelling from this language. That's why many words look different. For example, any word that begins with KN, well, not any word, like the word knife. The word knife. Why do we pronounce the word knife and not knife? Because guess what? The pronunciation used to be knife. And where did that come from? It came from the Northern European people. There are many words in the Northern European languages that start with this kna. As a matter of fact, there's a popular man's name in Northern Europe is Knut, K-N-U-T, Knut. Okay? Now, Rodrigo, no is different. No comes from Latin, from the word gnosis, which was GN in Latin. So the KN from no comes from the GN in Latin. But the KN in knife comes from the KN that was from the Northern European area. Okay? So this is what I'm trying to say is English is kind of interesting because I can look at each word and I can tell you this is French and this is German and this is, whatever, right? And that makes it more interesting for me. Etymology, this is what we're talking about. It can help you understand the meaning of the words. It can help you understand the spelling of the words. It can help you understand the pronunciation of the words. So if you learn the etymology, sometimes it can make things a lot more clear. Okay? Why are Zane, are you trying to say you want to know why dance and dangerous seem like they're related? Because they both have D-A-N? Is that what you mean? Dance comes from the German Dutch word tanze, which meant to dance. So dance comes from German Dutch. Danger comes from, let me see if I can remember. Danger comes from danger, which was Anglo-French. Danger, which was early French, and then Latin word dominarium, which means the power of a lord. So the word danger originally comes from Latin, and in Latin, the word it was the word dominarium, which meant the power of a lord. So the danger is the power of the master, right? The power of the king. Okay? Danger and dragon, are they related? Walid, I will not tell you. I want you to go find out, and you tell me. Okay? Okay, now, once again, everybody, hello, welcome to my live stream. This is my live stream where I do the things that I want to do. So today, what are we going to do? Today, I am teaching a class about the history of English words. I'm going to show you where many English words come from, and I'll teach you many stories about where they come from. And they're funny, interesting stories. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, so if you have other questions, then you need to wait to until I'm finished. All right, you have to wait until I'm finished today, or you have to wait until later. Okay? All right. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the website that I use. It's also an app that you can use, and it is called the Online Etymology Dictionary. And it is this right here, etymonline.com. etymonline.com. That's the website that I am using right now. It's a free website. It's free. Okay? You know what? I wonder, am I logged in? That's a good question. Oh, I am. ID. Google. Apple's connected. Okay, so then I should be able to connect this. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me see if I can connect this. That would make everything a lot easier if I can. Sign in with phone. Oh, I love when that works. Continue. All right, I think I've signed in. Okay, that might make things much easier. Okay. All right, so let me show that website to you one more time. So Online Etymology Dictionary, okay? And it is going to tell you about what the words meant a long time ago, all right? And how they've changed over time, all right? And it's really easy to use, all right? I'm going to show it to you here. You just go here and we're going to type in a word. So I'm going to show you the first word for today is going to be the word goodbye. Do you know what goodbye means? Don't spoil it. If you know the answer, don't spoil it for everybody else. All right? What does goodbye really mean? Anyone know? So let's look and find out, what does goodbye mean? Whoops. There it is, goodbye. So, the original meaning, goodbye, what does it say here? It comes from the 1590s, around that time. And look, it used to be spelled this. This is how they used to spell it here. Godby, or Bwye. What is that? Oh, look, what does it mean? Goodbye means God be with ye. Yeah, it's like Godspeed. God be with you. Goodbye. The screen is black. Let me try again. Yeah, recently it seems like there are some problems with HelloTalk with the screen share. Is this okay now? Can you see it? Yes? Okay. Well, you have to tell me when the screen goes black, because HelloTalk has some sort of a problem with the screen share that sometimes I share it and it's there, and then I maybe, I don't know, something happens and it goes black. So please tell me. Okay, so yeah, so the word goodbye, everybody, the word goodbye means God be with you. Isn't that kind of funny? Because Nobody knows that it's something religious. When you say goodbye, nobody's trying to be religious. They're just trying to say goodbye. See you next time. But yeah, that's what you're saying. When you say goodbye, you're saying God be with you. That's what goodbye means. Okay? So, kind of interesting, right? That's a good way to start. Let me go look at my notes here. All right, let's see. So today I'm going to start with the word, how about the word awesome? What does awesome mean? What does awesome mean? Awesome means cool, Kiyun says, right? Yeah, and Kiyun is right. Awesome does mean great, cool, amazing, right? But the original meaning of awesome is actually almost the opposite. The word awesome is two words. Some, awe. A-W-E. So what is awe? A-W-E. What does awe mean? If you have awe, then what does that mean? What feeling? What feeling is awe? Like wicked? No, not exactly wicked. Not sickness. Surprised. You're getting closer. You're getting closer, Ismail. Ismail's the closest so far. He said surprised. Not cringe, no. Wonder, yes. So combine Ismail, yes. Wonder, astonished, surprised. That's the word awe. So for example, do you guys know what the Grand Canyon is? What is the Grand Canyon? Do you know what the Grand Canyon is? It's a place in the United States. It's a really amazing natural place in the United States, and it is huge. It is so big. And I remember that when I went there for the first time and I saw it, I was like, oh, wow. Right? So when you see something that's so big, so huge, so incredible, so astonishing, so surprising, that you feel like, oh, right? Like God himself is in front of you. All right? That's awe. So, awesome is related to the word awful. Okay? The word awesome and awful are related. Okay? So what does awful mean? What does awful mean? If I say this is awful. Yeah, so isn't that funny? The word awesome and the word awful are related, but they have opposite meanings, right? If I say this food is awesome, that means good. If I say this food is awful, that means bad. But they both have the same word, awe, in them. Yeah, so the word awful was to be full of awe, and that meant like to be scared. Okay? So the meaning of awful, meaning bad, comes from the meaning of awe, meaning scared. The meaning of awesome, meaning good, comes from the meaning of awe, meaning like amazing, wonder, something that's incredible in front of you. So awesome and awful are actually related. It's kind of funny, right? Okay, let's see. Let me look at my list here. How about the word nice? What does nice mean? What does nice mean? Nice means good. Yeah, generally it means good, right? Something is nice, it's good. He's nice, he's a good person, right? But the original meaning of nice, well, let me ask you this. What about the word silly? What does silly mean? Silly. Okay, so yeah, this is where things get interesting. The word nice, now when we say the word nice, it means good. It's like, oh, this is nice or he's nice. It just means good, right? But the original meaning of nice meant kind of dumb or kind of weak. You're weak, you're dumb, you can't really do anything to attack anybody or hurt anybody. You're nice. Okay? So being nice used to be kind of a, not a compliment. It was something that you said to somebody, like to say he's kind of too weak and too stupid. Yeah. So nice used to be a bad word. And the word silly. Silly also used to mean stupid. He's silly meant he's kind of slow, he's kind of stupid, he's not, he's like nice. They're similar, okay? But then silly changed the meaning also, just like nice changed, silly changed. And now silly means more ridiculous. He's so silly, I think he's silly. It doesn't mean dumb or stupid or slow anymore. It means funny. It means ridiculous. That was silly. Okay? It's not exactly like stupid. The reason why it's like stupid is because stupid people sometimes do funny things. Right? So that's silly. Okay? Now you know why your kid hates to be called cute. Yeah, right? Cute can have a few meanings, right? And cute doesn't seem very strong, you know, or powerful. So sometimes, especially young boys, they don't like to be called cute because they don't want to be cute, right? What does stupid mean? Stupid does mean stupid. Okay, well, if you want to, let's look at the word stupid. Whoops, wrong one. Hello? All right, the word stupid. I'm going to share my screen. Please tell me if it's working or not. Stupid. So, right here, 1540. This is when the word was first used, or when we have record of it, right? The first record that we can find of the word stupid is around the 1540s. And it means mentally slow, or having a lacking ordinary activity of mind. You're dull. You are inane, which just means stupid. Okay? And that comes from the Latin word stupidus. And stupidus means to be amazed, or like something is like, oh, wow, I don't know how to use this. This is amazing. Look at my iPad. Oh, so amazing. I don't know how to use it. Then you are stupid. If you think everything is amazing, then you're probably kind of dumb, right? Because you think everything is wow, 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 right? Then you're kind of stupid. Okay, so the reason the word stupid comes from Latin. Okay, but you see, look, it started as a Latin word and then it became a French word. Okay, and then after that it was French, then it was English. Okay, so it began as a Latin word, then it became a French word, then the French word became an English word. Okay? And is inane related to insane? No, not exactly. Inane. Can you guys see that? Inane comes from the Latin word inanis, which at the time was from inanity, which means empty or void. So eventually it became like empty-headed, like your mind is empty. Okay? Inanity, which comes from the Latin word inanitas, which means empty, empty space, means like you have nothing in your head. Okay? And insane, let's look at insane. Insane comes from, no, a different Latin word, insanus. Insanus meaning in means not. So the relationship is, Andrew, the first suffix, the first two letters, in, mean not, right? And the same thing is true in both words. The first two letters mean not something, right? So, but insane means not sane, right? Means crazy, right? And inane, come on, go. Inane comes from inanity, which comes from, yeah, in that case, the word inanitas actually is, yeah, no, well, it means nothing. It's hard to explain. It means nothing. No. Empty. Empty. Okay, so inanity and insanity are actually not related at all. Yeah. But there are many, many words that have the in in the beginning, and it means not something. Okay? In or I am. Okay? Can you use fool instead of a stupid person? Well, yes, a fool is a stupid person. He's a fool. He's stupid. Okay? Okay, and so if you guys have questions like is inane related to insane, and is stupid and are stubborn and stupid related, this is why I'm teaching you. Now you know where you can go and you can look up and find out. Is stupid related to stubborn? Go find out. Go find out. All right? You'll learn a lot more if you do it yourself. If I just tell you the answer, you will not remember it, likely. But if you go find the answer yourself and now you say, oh, wow, look, they are connected or they aren't connected, that was something you discovered. If you discover it, you will remember it. Okay? If I discover it for you, it's not as exciting. All right? Hello, Doris. All right, let's keep going. I have some more words I want to teach you today. What about the word... here's a funny one. What about the word bully? What is a bully? What's a bully? A thug, a tormentor. Right. Yeah, it's really funny. But guess what, guys? The original meaning of the word bully means sweetheart. It's really funny. This one has changed the meaning completely. Yeah, originally the word bully in the 1530s, it meant a sweetheart. So when you said, this is my bully, it meant, this is my sweetheart. Okay? It comes from the Dutch word boel, which meant a lover or a brother or someone close to you. Okay? So yes, from Holland, that's right, from the Dutch word boel, which also is related to the Dutch word, where is it? Broeder, which is where we get brother from. Okay, so the word bully is actually related to the word brother, which is related to the word sweetheart. And it changed over time. So why did it change? They're not exactly sure, but the original meaning was like someone close to you or a lover, okay? But then the meaning changed around the 1700s and it became from a good person, it became to a blusterer. To bluster means you talk too much. You say too much, right? So maybe this is a good person who's like, I'm so good, I'm so good, I'm so great, I'm so amazing, I'm so awesome. That's how it started. It started as bragging. So bully was first, it was a person who was a sweetheart. It was someone who was nice. They were really good to you. But then it was someone who was so good, they were talking about how good they were all the time. And that was to bluster. It was to be arrogant. And that arrogance then turned into the meaning of to bully someone. Like you're using your arrogance against them. To be cocky. That's right. Yeah, that's right. So that's a funny word, how it went from being about a sweetheart to being about picking on someone, to bother the weak, right? So you're going to remember that now because it's one of the really weird things that sometimes English words change their meaning completely. And this is one that the original meaning of bully was like a sweetheart or someone good to you. And now the meaning of bully is someone who torments you. Let's see. Oh, how about this one? What about the word Lord? Yes, my Lord. Yes, my Lord. What does Lord mean? Yeah, you guys have the general idea. Lord, King, God, it has all those meanings. But the original meaning of the word Lord comes from the translation of a few different words. So in Latin, they translated the word dominus, which meant like superior, master, or God. In Greek, it was Kyrios, which again meant like master or God. And then in Hebrew, it was Yahweh. But the original word was from Old English. And Old English has this word hlaford. Hlaford. And hlaford was, it was a word that meant hlafweird, which meant the person who guards the bread. Hlafweird meant loaf guarder. Loaf meaning bread. And they would guard the bread. So who is the master? The master is the one who has the food and gives it to you, right? The master has the food. They look over the food. They give you the food, right? So that's what Lord means. It was the loaf master. Lord means loaf master. He was the one who guarded all of the loaves, the bread, and he would feed people. That's right. Yeah, he was the Lord. Okay, and that comes from Old English. That's kind of funny, loaf master. Let's see. And what about the word? Oh, I know. How about the word girl? What's a girl? The female version of a human. That's right. But again, the original meaning of the word girl was not female, it was just a young child. It was like the word child. So a long time ago, girl was for any young person. And I don't know. There's another. Let me think of some other terms that are similar like that. Yeah, it just was like children, right? Like the word girl was more like children. Yeah, yeah. The word girl originally meant just children. Now it means females, right? Young females. But originally it just meant any young person. That comes from, let's see, Old English, gray, let's see, grell, and then it comes from Low German, gere, which comes from Swedish gure. Yeah, anyway, the word girl didn't always mean girl. Now, girl means female, young females, usually young, but not always. Could be just general, female, right? But the original meaning just was children. Okay? What about the word weird? Weird. What is weird? Oh, you guys want to know about boy. All right, let's look at boy. I think I remember this, but let's look. Boy comes from they're not really sure where boy comes from. It says of unknown origin. So the word boy originally just meant a servant. Yeah. A boy was a commoner. It was a servant. It was a knave. It was an apprentice, right? So that's why a long time ago they used to say, boy, come here. Boy, get me this. Boy, do this. Because boy originally was just like servant. Okay? So a knight, for example, a knight would have someone help him because it's a lot of work to be a knight, to put on all that armor. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, and you can't do it yourself. Did you know that? That when you see those guys with the swords and all the armor, they couldn't put that on by themselves. They needed help. And the people who helped them, they were the boys. Yeah. Now, I mean, there were many words for them. Squire, knave, squire, knave, apprentice. Okay, they were helpers. They were helpers. So a boy was a servant. Yeah. So everyone was a girl in Old English. Every child, yes, children. Children were girls. All of them. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the word weird, yes, the word weird, Isa, does mean bizarre. It means strange. But where does the word weird come from? This one is partly from Shakespeare. It's partly from Shakespeare and partly from mythology. So a long time ago, in England, in Old English history, and in a lot of Europe too, Germanic history, they had stories about these three sisters, these three witches. They were witches. Yes, in Macbeth, that's right. That's right. The Weirding sisters, right? To weird was a word that came from Old English. It used to be spelled W-Y-R-D. And it meant that which comes. It means like fate. Fate. So these three witches, they were the witches that decided your fate. They were the Weirding sisters. And the Weirding sisters, to weird at that time, meant to use magic, right? It was like a weirding person was a magic user. So, but the stories of these three sisters, these stories, they always were ugly. The stories were, the witches were ugly. They were not good looking. They were very ugly. So the word weird was originally about these three witches that were ugly, so they looked weird. Okay? That's right, the wicked, weird witches. That's right. Okay? Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Yeah, so that comes from early Norse history and early Germanic history and early English history, the mythology of the three Weirding sisters. So, yeah, weird means strange or different, but that's because it was talking about these witches. All right? Let's see. What else do we have? Let's go to my other list. I'm going to show you another reason why etymology is really, really useful. Okay? Let's look at the let me share my screen again, and I'm going to show you something amazing. If you go to this website, you can type in three letters like sub. Then I want you to type in a hyphen. And I want to click this one. And look, it will show you all of the words that use sub in them. And how many words do you think there are in English that have sub? How many? Anyone? How many words do you think there are that use sub? Andrew says 1,000. Not quite 1,000, no. But we'll say, let's start with about 160. All right? There are more than 160, but we'll start with 160, okay? But I'm going to teach you some of them. Now, many of these words are not very common. They're very rare. So we don't need those. But there are many that are very common. Okay? So let's take a look. If you scroll down here, you can look down and you'll see entries linking to sub. Look, subject. And then we go down, suggest. All related words. Show all related words. Boom. So let's scroll through. Subject, right? So what is a subject, everybody? What's a subject? Tell me what a subject is. It's a topic. That's right. It's a topic, right? That's one meaning of the word subject. But the word subject, the original meaning of the word subject was talking about the king. Talking about the king. So, if I am a subject of the king, what does that mean? What does that mean if I am a subject of the king? It means that you're under the king. You're the servant. You serve him. So the king is here and you are subject to the king. So it's weird, but the word subject, to mean a topic like we talk about now, math is a subject, science is a subject, history is a subject. But when we talk about that, we're using it like we're saying the topic is the king and then everything under the king. So math is the king and now everything under the king. That's the subject. Okay? So originally we're talking about the king and everybody who's under the king. Those are his subjects. Okay? All right, let's keep going. There are many, many words. Let's go down. The next word, suggest. What does suggest mean? to suggest. Advice, right. So what does that mean? It says here the original meaning is to place before another's mind, to put forward a proposition. So let's look at suggestion. Can you guys see that screen now? Suggestion? Yes? Okay, good. All right, so look, what does it mean? Oh, so the sug, S-U-G, used to be S-U-B. And it means under. Sub means under, right? So under what? Gerere, the second part, means to bring or to carry. So that means that you're carrying an idea to someone else. Like here, I have an idea. Let me carry it to you. That's my suggestion. Okay? So it means under, carry. Like you're taking an idea that you have and you're saying, let me carry my idea to you and give it to you. Here's my suggestion. And look, I'm under, right? You're under the suggestion, right? Okay? No, Zane, sub means under. Okay, now sub has many meanings, but the main and most important meaning of sub means under. Okay? And that's important because there are many words. For example, Zane, what about subway? Subway, what is a subway? What's a subway? Subway, 就是中文就是地铁. Yeah, the subway, right? And if you take the subway, sub means under, and way is a very old English word. The word way comes from the word weg, which means road. So subway means under road. That makes sense, right? And someone said submarine. Sub means under, so what does marine mean? What does marine mean? Sub means under, so what does marine mean? Yeah, the ocean. So submarine means under the ocean. Underwater. That's right. Okay. And how about, let's do some more. Let's look at the list here. Oh, let me see. One moment. Let me find another good one. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we go back to suggest. What about the word suspect? What is a suspect? What is a suspect? Someone's suspicious, that's right. That's related. Suspect and suspicious are related. But the word suspect originally comes from the Latin word sub, which means under, right? And specere, which means to look. So if someone is suspect, it means that someone that you are looking at carefully with mistrust. You are looking under them. You want to know what's beneath. Are they real or not? You want to look under and see. They are suspect. Okay? So, yeah, sub, again, I'm going through all the sub words right now. That's what we're doing, is lots of sub words. Okay? Oh, and guys, Naya and Ken, is it? Remind me later about the word doubt, because I just learned an interesting thing about the word doubt and the word debt. I'm going to tell you later about why there's a B in the word doubt and the word debt, but we don't say it. But I can tell you why later. All right. So to be suspicious or to have a suspect means that you have someone that you don't trust them, right? So you're looking up at them. Let me think. What's a good way to put it? You're looking at them like suspiciously, right? Like you're looking kind of like, I want to see what's under. Think about what's under. Things that are covered are secret, right? So when you want to see the suspect, you want to see what's under. You want to see what's really there. You're suspicious. Okay? All right. How about, let's see, what's another word here? Oh, I want to give you some of the basic ones. Here we go. All right, now, what about subarctic? Isa, sub, and sus. Sus comes from sub. Okay? Isa, along many of these words, they start with one spelling, but then over many years, the spelling will change, right? Over hundreds or thousands of years, the spelling will change. So it started as sub, but then it became sus in some cases. Okay? There are many words that are like that. Okay? And yes, basically sub means under. In most cases, sub means under. So what about subarctic? What does subarctic mean? This one is kind of interesting. Under the snow region, right? So what does Arctic mean? What does Arctic mean? So we have the Arctic and the Antarctic poles, right? Arctic, Antarctic, right? Okay, now what does that mean? Arctic comes from the Latin word arcticus, which that comes from the Greek word arctikos, and that means the bear. The bear. Why does it mean the bear up here? No, it's not polar bears. Everyone thinks it's polar bears, but no, it's not. It's because when you're on this part of the Earth, if you're up here, there is a star constellation that you can see in the sky called Arcticos. It's Ursa Major. Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. Ursa means bear. So when you're on the North Pole, you can see the Bear constellation. But when you're on the South Pole, you cannot see the Bear constellation. Yeah, the Bear stars. Constellation means stars. So the Arctic, if you're in the Arctic, then you can see the bear. If you're in the Antarctic, ant means against or opposite. So you're opposite the bear. You can't see it. That's kind of cool, right? That's kind of cool. Oso is bear in Spanish because oso comes from the Latin word ursa. Yeah. Okay. Ursus. Oh, I'll tell you another one. What about the word earth? This one is really interesting. Where does earth come from? The word earth. So this is one of the great mysteries of language. Earth is one of the oldest words in language, and no one knows where it comes from. No one really knows anything about the history of this word. We only know that it's really, really old and that it has always meant the same thing. This is one of the most interesting words in the English language, earth. Nobody really knows where it comes from, and it has never changed. The meaning has never changed. Yeah, earth. It's one of the most interesting words because it has nobody knows where it comes from. We just know it's one of the oldest words. So it's really interesting. Yeah, it means soil. That's right. The original meaning kind of means soil, but Rodrigo, at that time, it meant planet. Soil was planet. You didn't really know the difference between planet and soil a long time ago. Okay? Can I say some phrases using Earth? Carlos, you live on Earth. This is the planet Earth. Okay? All right, let's keep going. What about subcategory? Subcategory. What is a subcategory? So this one is a little hard to explain. All right, let me try to explain how the word category and subcategory happened. So sub means under, right? We know sub means under. Category comes from, let's see, it's the French word catégorie for the Latin word categoria to the Greek word kategoria, which meant, this is where it gets difficult to explain. The original meaning of category means to accuse someone. So it's kind of funny, but to categorize something, when you categorize something, you're saying, this is a book. These are all books. You're accusing it of being a book. You're saying this is a group, right? It's a set, it's a group, it's a category. But the word actually means to accuse, to say, you're bad, or you're this, right? You're something. That's to accuse someone. So category is like saying, I'm going to say that all of these things are together. I'm going to accuse all of these things of being the same. I'm going to accuse all of these things of being the same. I'm going to accuse all of these things of being the same. These are all categories. And then sub means under, right? So subcategory just means under that category. Okay? And Rodrigo said subordinate. What does subordinate mean? Subordinate. He is subordinate. Anybody? Subordinate? Subordinate means under someone, under me, right? If you are my subordinate, then you are under me somehow. You are below me in level, right? But the word ordinal comes from the Latin word, I think it's ordinale. Let me see. Ordinal. So yeah, it comes from the word meaning order, right? In order. Okay? So when something is in order, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So if something is subordinate, then it is in number below you. Okay? It's somehow in number below you. That's right, under the leader. Yeah, and in French, you have the chef and you have the sous-chef. And Isa, what does sous mean in French? Under. That's right. So the sous chef is the under chef. He's the chef, he's the helper. He's the number one helper, right? So the chef is the chef means chief. It means the boss, right? The French cooking system is a very interesting cooking system. The way that the French decided that the best way to run a kitchen is the same way that you run the military. So the French system of running a kitchen is just like the military, and they have a general and the captain and then the sergeant, and you have a rank. There's ranking, right? So you have the chef, the sous chef, right? There's all these levels, okay? And yes, sous, sub, it means under, okay? That's right, chef de partie, that's right. Okay, let's keep going. Some more sub words. Let's see. How about the word... Oh, well, since we're talking about French, let's talk about some French words. What about the word soufflé? Soufflé is a French word, but we use it in English. So what is a soufflé? It's a kind of dessert. Well, soufflé can be sweet or savory. So I think it doesn't have to be a dessert. It can be anything really. But it's a dish, right? But the word soufflé comes from the word sub, meaning under, and the word flare, meaning to blow. Because a soufflé, when you cook a soufflé, what happens? It blows up. It's like egg, and it comes up, right? So soufflé comes to the word meaning to blow air under, right? To puff it up. That's what it means, soufflé. What else? Oh, here's a good one. Souvenir, another French word. Souvenir. What is a souvenir? A souvenir is it's a thing that you buy to remember. It's something that you buy to remember, right? And the word souvenir is French. It comes from the word sub, meaning under, and venire, meaning to come. So it means that when you see this thing, if you bought this thing, when you see it, then an idea comes from under in your mind. It comes up from under, and you remember. So souvenir comes from the word meaning up from below. It comes up from below. So that, for example, right? If I bought these in where? Cuba, right? So if I got these in Cuba, then when I see these, oh, I remember Cuba, I remember. It comes up from under. Souvenir. Okay? So that's what that means, souvenir. Let's see what else. We said subway. We said subarctic. We said subcategory. Subclass, right? The class below is the subclass. Okay? Venir means to come. That's right. It does mean to come up from under, right? How about subcommittee? A committee is a group of people, so a subcommittee is a lower group of people. There's the committee and the subcommittee, right? Subtitles, right? Titles that are below. What about the word subscribe? Subscribe. What does subscribe mean? Sub means under. What does scribe mean? To scribe. And hello, Sedef over there in my YouTube. Long time no see. Scribe means to write. Yeah, so subscribe means to write under. Why? Because when you have a contract, if you have a contract, where do you sign? Do you sign at the top? No, you sign at the bottom. So the subscription means you subscribe. You write your name at the bottom. Okay? What else? Subconscious. What does subconscious mean? Subconscious. Subconscious, everybody. The subconscious mind, right? So the conscious mind is that's the mind that you're aware of. You know what you're doing. You can think about it and you understand. But the subconscious mind, those are the things that you do that you don't know. You don't know why you do them. You don't understand them. You're not trying to do them. They are subconscious things. They're under your ability to know. To be conscious means to be able to know about things, to be aware. Subconscious would mean things that you cannot be aware of, things that you cannot know. Okay, because they're under. All right. How about subcontinent? Subcontinent, meaning the continent under, right? It's under somehow, right? Or subcontract. A subcontract is the contract that's below, right? So, for example, if I'm a subcontractor, that means that I'm a separate person who's working under someone else, right? So there's a big team of people that are working on a house, but they need a special person to do something. So they hire me, the subcontractor. So now I am working as a contractor under them. Okay? How about the word subculture? Subculture means this is a culture, then there's a subculture. It's somehow related to it, below it, right? It's part of this culture. Okay? Like, for example, let me think. Like, you can kind of look at subcultures as like, well, let me think, kinds of subcultures. Like, for example, you could say with young people. In young people, there are many subcultures in young groups, in young people, right? There's subcultures of fashion. There are subcultures of music. There are subcultures of different kinds of identity, right? So each one of those is a separate thing under the culture of youth. It's a subculture, okay? Subconscious, we already said, yeah, conscious means something that you know and you can be aware of. Subconscious means it's under. You can't know it. You can't be aware of it because it's under your mind. Okay? Under your mind. Submerge. To merge means to come together. Let me look at that word. So the word merge comes from, ooh, wow, this one's old. The word merge comes from the Latin mergere, but it also comes from Sanskrit, which meant to sink or dive under. So the word merge actually originally does mean to sink, to go under. So submerge means to go under and sink. Okay? So a long time ago, submarines were actually called submersibles. Submersible, to go under. It was able to go under. Okay? Okay, so if you guys are new, hello, my name is Teacher Mark. I'm teaching a class right now, and this class is about the history of English words and where they come from and how they've changed and what did they used to mean a long time ago. And it can be an interesting way to learn vocabulary, all right? Somebody was asking about supervisor. And I believe I can do that one because to supervise is not related to sub, it's related to super. So what does super mean? Super means over. In Latin, the original meaning is over. And supervise comes from the words super and videre, meaning to see. So supervise means to look over someone. You're watching them. That's what supervise means. Supervidere, to see over, to watch over. Okay? And it is 11:15, not 10:15. It's 11:15 now. Okay? Underwear versus subwear. Yeah, that's a funny one, right? Why would it be subwear? Why is it underwear? Okay. And if you don't know, I've been on Hello Talk for 12 years. I have been live streaming here for more than 5 years. I have a YouTube channel here. I have a website here. And I have a blog here. About 90,000 people follow me on Hello Talk because I am a real teacher. All right, let's keep going with more subwords, because I'm not done yet. I have a huge list of subwords. Let's talk about subdivide. What does subdivide mean? To subdivide. No, I don't get paid because you don't pay me. Do you pay me? If you don't pay me, then I don't get paid. Hello Talk gives me nothing. They don't do anything for me. I mean, they help me to make sure that my stream is working, which is nice. But I have done 2,300 hours of teaching for nothing. Because that's the way the world should be. It's unfortunate that it's not. Let's keep going. So we said subdivide. To divide means to break into parts, right? So to subdivide means, let's look at this in this number or this group. So let's subdivide it into groupings of 3 or groupings of 2. This is a word that I learned in music. In music, because in music we have the quarter note, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But then we have the eighth notes, and we count those 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. that is subdivided by 2. Or triplets. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Or 16th notes. 1e and a 2e and a 3e and a 4e and a 1e and a 2e and a 3e and a 4e and a. So now that's subdivided by 4. Understand? Okay? My website is written in purple and you can't see it clearly. Kelly, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Everybody else seems to be able to see it okay. I don't know why you can't. Let's keep going. How about subgroup? What about suburb? What is a suburb? What's a suburb? That's right, the outside the city. That's right. So, if that's a suburb, then what does herb mean? What does herb mean, everybody? Yeah, herb comes from the word urban, which means city. So the suburbs in the United States, when you have a city, outside of the city is a ring of houses, mostly, right? It's residents. People live there. Okay, so the suburbs means the ring of housing, the places where people live outside of the city because people don't want to live in the city. Okay, that's the suburbs. How about, let's see. Well, I'm just going to list some words here. Let me just show you how many subwords there are. Okay, now some of these are common, some of these are not common, all right? Let's see, subgroup, subheading, subadjacent, subjugate, subjugation, subjunctive, sublease, sublet, sublime, sublingual, sublunar, submarine, submerge, submit, subtract, suboptimal, suborbital, subordinate, subpar, subplot, subpoena, subprime, subregion, subscribe, subsecting, subsequent, subservient, subset, subtle. Even the word subtle is also in there. Subside, subsist, subsoil, subsonic, subspecies, substance, substantial, substandard, substation, substitution, subterfuge, subterranean, subtext, and subtitle. All of those are subwords. Okay? Can you see why this is a good way to learn vocabulary? Can you see the advantage to learning vocabulary this way? Look how many words that you can learn with just one root. You can just say, let me look at all the words that have sub in them. Let me look at all the words that have super in them. Let me look at all the words that have post or pre or re or co in them. That's right. The root, the suffix, the prefix, that's right. That's what we're doing. That's what we're looking at. That's right. Similar words can be remembered together. It makes it much, much easier, right? Okay? And then I told you, it's also fun because sometimes you find words that have really interesting meaning. So just the other day, I was reading about the word often. often. Should you say often with a T or without the T? Should it be often or often? Should you use the T or no? Finance says both. And you're correct. Today, both are correct. Both are fine. You can say often, you can say often, and both are okay. But guess what? There's a history about this word. The original pronunciation of the word was with the T, often. And in England, if anyone said the word often, that was considered lazy if you did not pronounce the T. So for many, many, many years, the word was pronounced correctly with the T. However, I think it was Queen Elizabeth. One day, someone was talking to Queen Elizabeth, and when she said the word, she said often. And she didn't pronounce the T. And now, everyone else, they're the subjects of the Queen. So what happened? The Queen said often. So what do you think happened to everybody else? What did they do? Now that the Queen said often. That's right. Everybody followed the Queen. So the original pronunciation was often, but then the Queen said often, so now it became okay, and everybody didn't want to make the Queen look bad, so they changed and said often. So that's why today, now, we definitely can say often or often. Both are fine. Okay? Both are fine. And earlier, I was telling you about the word, what was it? Debt, and there was another word. Let me find it. One moment. Debt and doubt. Debt and doubt. Debt and doubt both have a B in them. And it's very weird because we don't pronounce the B, right? It's not debbed and it's not daubed. It's doubt and debt. But why? Why? So remember I told you that English is related to French. And why is English related to French? Why? So debt is related, the English is related to French because the English and the French have been fighting for hundreds of years. They were fighting, okay? So hundreds and hundreds of years, the French and the English would fight back and forth. So that means that the French and the English don't really like each other very much, right? Back then, right? A long time ago, the French and the English did not get along, okay? So guess what? The French word, the word debt, D-E-B-T, comes from the French word D-E-T-T-E, debt. No B. No B. That's right. But guess what? The British, the English people, they didn't like the French so much that they decided to change the word. And they went and they said, let's go back further. Let's look at the word in Latin and let's see what's the Latin word. So the Latin word was debitum. In Latin, debitum means a thing owed. So the word was D-E-T-T-E with no B, and it was pronounced debt, just like we do now. But because the British didn't like the French so much, they decided, let's change the spelling of the word, and I don't want the French word. No, no, no. Let's go back and use the Latin word instead. So the reason why debt and doubt have a B in there is because of how much the British didn't like the French. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? There are a whole bunch of words like that. There are a lot of words that are kind of like that. Let me see. Let me give you some other fun words. Oh, let's see. So we were talking about the subwords. So the word subtle. What about the word subtle? This is another one. The word subtle is like doubt and debt. The word subtle is from French, and in the French word, it was subtil. And there was no B in there. But again, this is another one that they put the B in later. The English added the B later because they didn't want the French pronunciation. They didn't want the French spelling. So they went back to the Latin word subtilis. Subtilis, which meant, where is it? It means fine or thin or delicate, precise, accurate. So the word subtle is something small, something, not obvious. It's subtle. It's under. It has the letter sub, meaning under. Okay? Let's see, what else is there? I'm getting hungry. I might need to eat soon. What about, what? What about my studio? In French, you pronounce the B. Oh, that's interesting. How weird. That's very weird because there was a French spelling, an early French spelling that did not have the B in it. It was Soutil, I think. So how did that... Looks like the French decided to go with the English on that then. That's very interesting. Subtil. That's interesting. Wow. Okay. Are these recorded? Yes, they are. They're on my YouTube. So when I finish here, this will be uploaded to my YouTube channel and you can watch it again. Okay? And I am American, so this is an American accent. Let me see. Oh, I'm going to teach you another one right now, but this one is a little tricky. The word pen and the word pencil, the word pen and pencil, those are related, right? Those must be related, right? The word pen and pencil? Well, guess what? They're not. The word pen and pencil are actually completely unrelated. It's very weird and funny, but it worked out that way. So the word pen does come from the original word for feather, because a pen a long time ago was a feather, right? We used feathers to write with, right? That was a pen. But the word pencil... Pencil is a word that comes from the Latin word pincellus. Pincellus in Latin means a paintbrush. A paintbrush. Okay? So the word pencil is related to the word penicillin. Do you know penicillin? What's penicillin? It's an antibiotic. That's right. So the word penicillin was created because when they made it, it looked like a mold of a paintbrush. It looked like a paintbrush. Okay? So the word penicillin and pencil are related. And so is, there is another word that's related. I'm going to write it here because I don't want to say it, but it is related. So the word pen comes from the word feather. That's a completely different root. But the word pencil comes from the word penicillum, and that means a paintbrush. And that is why it's also related to the word... Oh, I can't even write it. Okay, so I have to spell it. So the word penis is related to the word pencil. So the word pen comes from feather, but the word pencil comes from penis. But now you won't forget that. Now you will never forget that. You'll never forget. Pencil and pen, they should be related. They must be related, right? But they're not related. They're completely different. Yeah. Isn't that funny? Yeah. But pencil is related to penicillin. That's weird too. Hello, Esther. I thought that was funny. Technically, Brian, yes, you could. Technically, you could. Let's see. What other funny words are there? Let's talk about some more fun words in English. What are the old meanings? One moment. Let me just find some good words for you. Here's a good one. This is a French word. The word nonchalance. Nonchalance. What does that mean? If I say he's very nonchalant, what does that mean? It's not careless. No, it's not careless. It's more like unconcerned. Like you can't bother me. Okay? So it's more like indifferent or unconcerned or careless, but careless in a way that's more like I don't care what you think. Okay? That's nonchalant. All right? It's not like I don't care about what I'm doing necessarily, but it could be. Okay? But the word nonchalant is interesting because what does non mean? Non means what? N-O-N. What's N-O-N mean? Yeah, it means no. So then what does chalant mean? What does that mean, chalant? So the word chalant comes from the French word, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right because my French is terrible, but I think it's chawa, and it's the word to means to have concern for something. So the word nonchalant means to not have concern for something. But if there's nonchalant, then shouldn't there also be chalant? Right? If we have the word nonchalant, then shouldn't there also be the opposite? But there's not. That's kind of an interesting thing. The word nonchalant is negative only. There is no opposite version. There is no way to just take the non off. It doesn't work. Okay, so nonchalant is a French word that means to not really care or be unconcerned or not bothered by something, right? He's very nonchalant. You can't bother me, okay? And non means not, and chalant comes from the French word chalois, which means to have concern for, to be concerned about something. So non, not concerned about something. Okay? What about the word restaurant? What is a restaurant? I'm drinking iced coffee. Although it's not iced anymore, it's just coffee. So yeah, a restaurant is a place you go to eat. But the word restaurant has a very old story to it. Around, I want to say around 1300. Let me just double check. Eating house, amusement, right, 1300. 1700, 1800. Okay, so guess what? A long time ago, if you were in Europe a long time ago, if you wanted to eat, did they have restaurants really yet? Were restaurants a thing in early Europe? Were restaurants a thing? Anybody? Not really. No, there were no restaurants. There were markets, and in the market, they would sell food, just like we do today, street food, right? So street food has been around for thousands of years. But a restaurant is like a place where you go in and you sit down and you eat. That didn't really exist yet. There were no restaurants for a long time. There were just markets, okay? And Brian is asking about the word pub. But Brian, what does pub mean? Pub and restaurant are both related in a way, because restaurant, the first restaurants, Brian, in France, there were some houses that maybe this person has some extra food or extra wine that they want to sell to make some money. Right? Hey, let's make some money. Let's sell some food to the public. Let's sell some extra wine. We made some wine. Let's sell it. Right? So the first restaurants were just someone's house that you would go to, and you would just sit and eat whatever food they had. You'd give them some money, and that was it. So the word restaurant comes from the Latin word restaurare, means to restore you, because a long time ago, do you know what they used to eat? All the time. What did you eat? If you went to a restaurant, what did you eat? If you went to a restaurant, what did you eat? What was the most common thing to eat? Bread and soup. That's right, bread and soup. You'd have some soup, and they'd give you bread. And guess what? These restaurants, they didn't make one soup every day. What they did was they had a fire that would always go. The fire was always on. The fire was always cooking. And they had a pot of soup on the fire. And every day they would just add some stuff to the pot. And every day the food just keeps cooking. That's what they used to use. That was soup. Soup was anything you had. If you had some vegetables, you put it in there. If you had some bread, you put it in there. If you had some meat, you put it in there. Anything that you had, you put it in. Wouldn't it rot? No, Brian. You can cook food forever and it will not rot if you keep it at the right temperature. And Brian, you can look it up. There are still a couple of restaurants that do this. there are still a couple places in the world where you can go in and you can get this soup that they have on the fire, and that soup has been cooking for like 100 years. Okay? So you used to go into a house and you would get some soup and some bread, and you felt tired. You felt, worn out. But you would eat this food. You would eat the soup and you would eat the bread, and it would restore you. It would restore you. So the word restaurant is a place you go to eat and feel restored. That's a restaurant. It's a place to restore yourself. Okay? But what about pub? What is a pub? What is a pub? Brian? Brian says it's a place to only drink. That's not true. A pub, the word pub is short for public house. Public house. That's a pub. So a pub, just like I said, a public house. It was a house. It was somebody's house. This is my house. But I have some beer. I have some extra wine. So I want to sell it to make some money. So you can come to my pub, my public house, to eat or drink. Yeah, so pub and restaurant are both similar that way. They both began as just somebody's house. It wasn't a business, it was somebody's house. Okay? And Brian, a pub is a place for drinking. However, in America, pub usually means they do have food. We call it pub food. Pub food in America and in England, I believe it's true in England also. Pub food is like burgers and fries and fried food, things that you can get quickly and eat with beer. That's pub food. So in most cases today, if you say I'm going to a pub in America, we think that that's probably going to have some food. They call them gastropubs. Gastro means gastronomically or with your stomach, like food. So pizza maybe in some pubs, maybe in America. Okay, but yes, in the UK, if you go to the UK, I think a pub may sometimes have food and sometimes not. Okay? Is pub and bar similar? Yeah, pretty much. But if you say you're going to a bar, I definitely don't, I will not assume they have food at a bar. But if you say I'm going to a pub, I'll think, oh, well, I can get some food there probably. Maybe not a lot. Maybe they don't have a big menu, but they have a few things. Okay? So a pub in America, when we talk about pubs, that usually means they might have some food. But a bar, no, it's just alcohol. Okay? Pub is P-U-B. P-U-B. Yes, Brian. That's generally. Yes, generally. Okay? Let's see. What other words are fun to talk about? What about the word serendipity? Serendipity. Do you know that word? Serendipity. Not profitable. Not profitable. It's kind of like a lucky thing, fate. Yeah. And not tranquil. Ria, I think you're thinking of the word serene. Serene means tranquil. Serendipity is more like fate or destiny or luck. Okay? But the word serendipity, it comes from Persia. It comes from Iran. And in Iran, they had, there was a story. Hold on, let me find it. There was a story in Persia called The Three Princes of Serendip. The Three Princes of Serendip. This was a very old story in Persia. And Serendip, where is Serendip? Do you guys know where Serendip is? Serendip is a place. It's a real place. They were talking about Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, the country of Sri Lanka, a long time ago, it was called Serendip. And it was this wonderful place that you went to. Serendipity. Okay? Yeah, I told you that it does come from all over the place. English comes from many places. Is serendipity a common word? I wouldn't say it's common, but if you're talking about, like, maybe you go on vacation, you went to London on vacation, and while you're there, you're having lunch at a cafe, and then you see your friend from high school. You haven't seen your friend in a long time, but they're in the same cafe as you when you're on vacation. That is serendipitous. That's serendipity. It's like, oh, wow, this is like fate. This is amazing. Okay? It's like an accidental, wonderful thing, right? Like fate. Okay? It's like an accidentally wonderful thing. Okay? Kind of like coincidence, but it's a little bit... Coincidence doesn't sound very magical. Serendipity sounds magical. Okay? What is a nightmare? I'll tell you, because the word nightmare is a fun word to learn about. So what is a nightmare, everybody? What is a nightmare? Is serendipity always in a positive way? I believe yes. Yeah, I think I've never heard serendipity used in a negative way. So yes, a nightmare is a bad dream. But the word nightmare, originally, a mare, M-A-R-E, was a word, it meant an evil little demon, like an evil creature, a spirit, a devil, okay? And the story of the nightmare was that this was a little creature that would land on your chest when you were sleeping, and it would try to steal your breath. It would steal your air, steal your breath. And when it's stealing your air, that's when you're having bad dreams. So the story of the nightmare, it used to be a little demon that would, try to steal your air, and that would give you bad dreams when you were sleeping. Does mare mean animal? Kind of, yes. The word mare originally means a female horse. Female horse is a mare. Okay? And finance advisor said bad jinn. Jinn, J-I-N-N. What is a jinn, everybody? Do you guys know what jinn means? What's a jinn? A mythical bad spirit. That's right. But the word jinn is related to the word genie. What is a genie? A lamp spirit, that's right. And the word genius, what is a genius? A genius is somebody who's brilliant or talented in some way, right? But the word genius, a long time ago, the Greeks, the Greek people, they used to believe that all genius was not you. It wasn't me. It wasn't you. No. There was a spirit helping you. There was an angel helping you. There was some kind of a creature that was helping you. That was the genie. That was the jinn. So genius, the word genius, he's genius. It means like you're so amazing, like there's some magical creature helping you. So the word jinn is related to the word genie, which is related to the word genius, and that's related to the word engine. What about engine? What is an engine? And yes, jinn is a Middle Eastern word. That's right. It's Arabic, if I remember right, I think. What is an engine? E-N-G-I-N-E. It's a machine, right? But the word engine has a very old meaning, before machines, right? So let's go back 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years ago, there were no motors, so it wasn't a machine like we know now. So a long time ago, if I said an engine, what was it? 1,000 years ago, what was an engine? It wasn't a motor. It wasn't a machine. Well, not really. Not the way we think of it today. Something different. Right. So here's the first engine. The first engine was there were two groups of people having a war, right? They're fighting. Two groups of armies, they're fighting. So they come and they meet on the battlefield, right? That's what they used to do. They would meet on the battlefield and say, we're going to have a war now, right? Okay? But one of them, they looked over and they saw these guys, and they have something new. They built something. They made something to help them fight. That was called a war engine. So the word engine first was talking about something they made to help them fight a war. And the word engine means clever, because they came onto the battlefield and they looked over and they said, oh, wait a minute, look, they have something new. That's clever. So the word engine is related to the word genius, which is related to the word genie, which is related to the word jinn, which is related to the word engineer. So the word engineer comes from the word jinn. Okay? So this is why I like etymology, because for me, this is like, whoa, like what? No, those are related? That's crazy. That's insane. How's that work? That's weird. But yeah, you know, and then the word genie is also related to the word genes. Genes are, what is a gene? G-E-N-E. Wait, let me check something. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Okay, so yeah, there it is. Okay, so yeah, the word gene comes from the Greek word genos, which means a kind or a race or a species, right? But it's also related to many words that are related to birth, like genuine. Genuine. What does genuine mean? Gender, also. Yeah, right. What is genuine? Genesis, also. Genesis means the beginning. So the word gene is about creation, right? The beginning, birth, the first kind. And that's why it's related to so many words like gene, Genesis, right? Genuine. If something is genuine, it's real. It's real, right? Gender is one of the two, right? The gender, right? That's, well, now we have an argument about that. But gender comes from the same word meaning birth. Okay? Genetic also, right. But what about, do you know the word genuflect? This one is not very common. Genuflect. To genuflect. Genuflect is a word, it's usually used in religion. To genuflect means to kneel. Yeah, it means to kneel, like this. This is genuflecting, usually on one knee. Now, do you know why they did this? Why did they genuflect? You genuflect before God, sure. Yeah, that's one reason. But there's another very important reason. There's a very important reason why they used to genuflect. And it wasn't marriage. Nope, not marriage. That was one, but not the most important one. Genuflecting was something that they did when you had a baby. When you had a baby, you had to say, this baby is my baby. He's from my genes. He's genuinely mine. And to show that the baby was yours, you would take the baby and hold the baby in public so everyone could see you, and you would go down on one knee. Genuflecting, to show that this is genuinely my baby from my genes. To genuflect, genuinely, mine, genes. So if it was your baby, then you would show everybody, this is my baby. Let me show you. Okay? All right, so that was kind of cool. I remember when I learned that, I was like, oh, that's actually really cool, you know, to show everybody in the community that you say, this is my child. You know, it's a way of saying, you know, back then that meant everything. There were no laws the way we have now. It wasn't as legal. Things were not written as much. So it meant more to demonstrate your feelings, to demonstrate your loyalty. Yeah. Can Genesis be used in daily conversation? Not really, because we don't usually talk about anything in daily conversation that would use that word. Genesis could be used in a scientific way, Brian, to talk about things like the genesis of this thing means the beginning, the start of this thing. Okay, the genesis of jazz music means the beginning of jazz music. Okay? And yes, gene, gender, genuine, that's right, genre, those are all related. That's why etymology is useful. That's why etymology is useful. Okay? And I also told you guys about the word grammar. What does grammar mean? What does grammar mean? And yes, finance advisor, genocide, side, icide, any word that ends with icide means to kill. So homicide means to kill a human. Matricide means to kill your mother. Patricide means to kill your father. Fratricide means to kill your brother. Suicide means to kill yourself. And genocide means to kill every one of the species, the genes. Okay? So, what was I just talking about? I was just talking about a word. I totally just forgot. I was going to tell you a word, and now grammar. Grammar. Yes, grammar. Thank you. The word grammar, it means what? What does grammar mean? To teach the language correctly. It means the rules of the language, right? That's the grammar, right? But grammar is not just for English. Grammar is a word that's for every language has grammar, right? Every language has grammar, right? But the word grammar, a long time ago, the word grammar meant secret knowledge. Secret knowledge. Why did it mean secret knowledge? 1,000 years ago, why did grammar mean secret knowledge? Secret information. Why? 1,000 years ago, why was grammar secret knowledge? Why? Anyone? How many people could read and write very well 1,000 years ago? How many people could read and write? Yeah, less than 10%. I would say more like 2%. Maybe 2%. Okay? Very few people could read or write. So that means that now there are only a few people who can read and they can write. So they have secret knowledge. And if you see a book that has a bunch of things written in it and you don't know what they are, that's scary, right? When you see a language that you've never seen before and you look at it and you're like, oh, what is this? I don't know what that is. That's kind of scary. Right? Yeah, that's right. A long time ago, if you saw a new language, you thought this looks like magic. This looks like witchcraft. This must be something evil because I don't know it and I can't understand it. So the word grammar originally meant secret knowledge, secret things that only a few people knew about. And think about it. If you knew about grammar, if you knew about language, how much power did you have? If you knew about language 1,000 years ago, if you could write and you could read, how much power did you have? If you want to write a law, if you want to make a law, you can only make a law if you have someone who can write. The law has to be written down. If you want to make a law, you need to write it down. Right? So that means only the people who can write, they have that special power. So the word grammar, it means magic. Because you're listening to me right now because of the magic that I have with my language. Because I can use language well, you listen. That's magic. That's power. Okay? And I am not a New Yorker. No, I am from Ohio, Oswaldo. I'm from Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio. My accent is called the Mid-Ohio accent. Okay? Now, I'm going to prove to you that the word grammar does mean magic. I'm going to prove it to you. There is another word that's related to the word grammar. It's not a common word, but it is a word you might see it in movies or in a book. The word is grimoire. Have you ever heard of the word grimoire? What is a grimoire? A grimoire is a book of magic. It's a magic book. Grimoire is a direct relation to the word grammar. Because if you can't read and you can't write, then it all looks like magic to you. If you can't read and you can't write, then everything looks like magic to you. The word grimoire and grammar are related. And also the word glamour. What about glamour? What does glamour mean? If I say she's so glamorous. So the word glamorous means like beautiful, right? Incredibly beautiful. But the meaning is you think she's beautiful because of magic. I put a magical spell on you and now you think she's beautiful. That's glamorous. And glamour is also related to the word grammar, meaning magic. And also, if I say he's charming, charming, what is charming? Charming, attractive, good looking, right. But the word charm, the original meaning of charm means a magical spell. Because you think I'm charming because I put magic on you. I charmed you. It means magic. What about enchant? Enchanting to meet you. Enchanté. To enchant. It was enchanting to meet you. He's very enchanting. Yeah. Chant. What does chant mean, everybody? The word chant. If I chant something, to chant means to say something again and again, usually in a group. In a group, right? So, let me think. So, for example, in India, when you want to meditate, what do you say? Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Right? You say it again and again and again and again and again, right? That is chanting. That is chanting. And if you hear a bunch of people and they're all saying the same words together, all together, what does that feel like? It looks like what? What does that feel like? When you hear somebody chanting together, it's like magic. So when something is enchanting, it's like magic. When something is charming, it's like magic. When something is glamorous, it's like magic. Because if you have language, you have magic, you have power. So an enchanting person is someone who can use their ability to make you like them. That feels like magic. That feels like magic. Okay? Yeah, mantra, and that's this, they're similar, right? There are many, many English words that do mean something about magic. There are many, many English words. Let's see. Like, for example, we said, no, those are not the common ones. No. Fascinating. What is fascinating? Fascinating. If something is fascinating, it's from the Latin word fascinare, which means to be under a magical spell. So fascinating, related to magic. Captivating. If something is captivating, it's related to the word capture, and that is, again, like magic, like somebody has used magic on you to make you look at them. They are captivating. Mesmerizing. If something is mesmerizing, that comes from there was a man named Franz Mesmer, and he believed in something called animal magnetism, and it was a way to hypnotize you, right? They would right? They would do this, look at this, look at the chain, look at the diamond, right? They would mesmerize you. That's right. That's called mesmerization. Okay, that's magic. How about spellbinding? Wow, that movie was so spellbinding. I was spellbound. I was spellbound. Spellbound, also like magic. Yeah, so again, there are many English words that are about magic. And the reason why is because, again, if you have grammar, then that means you know language. And if you know language, you have tremendous power. You have the power to make rules. You have the power to make laws. You have the power to decide what's right and what's wrong. That's language. Language is magic. I'm very serious when I say that. Language is magic. If you have great language, people will listen to you. If you have great language, people will follow you. It's dangerous and powerful. Look at people like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, he has magic. He has magic. People follow him because he sounds curious, and that curiosity is very attractive. Everybody wants to be curious, but many people feel they can't be. So when we hear somebody who is curious, we think, oh, wow, I really like that. That's like magic. That's like magic. Okay? That's right. Captivating, spellbound, mesmerizing, glamorous, charming, fascinating, enchanting. That's right. Yeah. Okay, there are lots of words like that. All right. So that's what we did today, guys. We were just talking about etymology, the history of words, and I could go on and on and on and on and on. I didn't even come close to my notes. Look at my notes, guys. Let me show you. Hold on. Look how many words are on here. I've got about a dozen pages of words. What about the word car? Where does the word car come from? Where's the word car come from? Car is very interesting also. Car is an old word. A long time ago, if you were in the Roman Empire, how did you get around? You could walk, or you could do what? They had a cart, right. But what did you pull the cart? What used the cart? The cart with what? In the Roman Empire, if you had a horse with a cart and you would get on it and ride, that was called a carum. C-A-R-R-U-M. Carus, carum, they're different variations of the word. But carum, yeah, hey, so think about it. 2,000 years ago, you could say, hey, nice carum. Nice carum. I like your carum. And we talked about the word coach. The other day we talked about coach, but I'll tell you again because it's such a fun word. What is a coach? What's a coach? A coach is a leader, not exactly a leader, a sport teacher. That's right, yeah. Right? But a coach is somebody who helps you to do your goals, right? You have some goals that you want to achieve, and you use the coach to help you, right? They help you to get your goal, right? So, the word coach today, it means a person who helps you to get to your goal, right? But the word coach, a long time ago, the word coach had a very different meaning. I'm going to show you what it was. A long time ago, a coach was this. This was a coach. It was called a coach wagon. A coach wagon, a stagecoach. Okay, so to go someplace, you took a coach. All right, because what does a coach do? It helps you get from one place to another, right? Just like a coach, a trainer helps you get to your goal. So this would help you get to your goal, right? Now, the word was originally called a wagon, but they started calling them a coach because around the 1700s, in the city of Koch, Hungary, around 1700 in Koch, Hungary, they created a new wagon. It was a new kind, and it was the best one. This was the one everyone wanted, this one, this design. So the design was so popular, and it came from the city of Koch. The city of Koch is spelled K-O-C-S, but it's pronounced Koch. So the word coach, a coach, is somebody who helps you get to your goal, because a wagon would help you get to your goal. And the best wagon was made from the city of Koch. Get it? That's a pretty cool story. That's a pretty cool story, isn't it? Am I AI? Does AI pick its nose? I'm so bright that I look like AI. If I were AI, I would make myself a lot more handsome. Why would you go to the trouble of making yourself AI and not be handsome? Not be like really handsome? Isn't that funny? Okay, so once again, guys, we're talking about the history of words and where they come from. How about the word ambulance? What is an ambulance? What is an ambulance? It's an emergency car, right? For like when you're sick or when you're hurt, right? The ambulance comes. But the word ambulance, the original meaning of the word ambulance was talking about in war. So again, let's go back a few hundred years. Let's go back 300 or 400 years ago. Okay, 300 or 400 years ago, you're in a fight in a war, and you're hurt. Your arm got hurt. So now where do you go? If you're hurt on the battlefield, where do you go? They take you to the ambulance. And at that time, the ambulance was a tent. It was a tent that you could carry and move, because the word ambulance comes from the Latin word ambulare, which means to walk. To walk. So the first ambulance was a tent. It was a medical tent where they would carry the tent because the battle is moving, right? So if the battle moves over there, then we move the tent. Let's move the tent over there. Okay, so the ambulance was a moving tent where you could get help. That was the original word of ambulance. And it's still, there's a word in English. Do you know the word ambulate? To ambulate? What does ambulate mean? Ambulate is a very fancy word that means to walk. To ambulate, you're walking. So that's why ambulance means to walk, because a long time ago it wasn't a car, it was a tent, and you had to pick up the tent and walk the tent over there. Okay? What's the difference between a desk and an office? That's a big difference. That's a big difference. A desk is the thing where you write, right? So if you want to do your work, you work at a desk. A desk is a piece of furniture, okay? It's a thing. You can pick up the desk and move the desk, but the office, that's the room you work in or the building you work in. I'm going to the office means I'm going to work. The building where I work, that's my office. But office could also be a room in your house where you do work. That's your home office. So office is a room or building. Desk is a piece of furniture where you do your work. Okay? How much money do I get paid from this job? Why is everybody so interested in that? I'll teach you a Chinese word. Ling. Ling means 0. Can you imagine a world where people were good at something? You're good at something and you do it because you're good at it. Not because you make money at it. You do it because you're good. Imagine a world. Imagine a world where money is not the driving force behind everything that you do. Imagine a world where people are actually good at something and they do it because they like it. Imagine a world. Is that true? Is what true? Was I most popular? No. No, no, no. No, I was not popular. I was proud to not be popular. Popularity is not always a good thing. It's very rare to be popular and be yourself. The majority of people who are popular, they are not really themselves. They have to pretend to be someone else all the time. That's how they stay popular. You know? Popularity is not always the best thing. You know? Not even after my smartness. So I would say I have been dumb for most of my life, and I still think I'm really dumb now. Smart people usually don't think they're very smart. That's my experience. Is that the smartest people are the ones who don't say I'm so smart. Anybody who's going around saying I'm smarter than you, probably they are not actually that smart. Smart people know how little they know, right? So if you think you know everything, then you're probably not smart, because the people who do know, they know how much there is to know. It's like if you climb a mountain, right? If you climb a mountain, okay, you're at the top of the mountain. Great. But when you get to the top of the mountain, now you can see a lot more of the world, can't you? The world that you didn't know existed. Now you can see it. So the more you learn, the more you know there is to learn. Yeah, right. That's what they say in Chinese. That's the way the Chinese phrase for it is something like, "Smart people know that the next mountain is higher." Right? Yeah, I remember that. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Yeah, that's partly what the Dunning-Kruger effect is. The Dunning-Kruger effect is basically the idea that you can't know how dumb you really are. So dumb people never really know how dumb they are. You can't know how dumb you are and be dumb. It's an awareness problem. I only know one thing, and that is I know nothing. Right? Yeah. What I say is, I know where I am, but I know where I want to be, and where I want to be is nowhere near where I am. I know where I am. I'm here. Okay, fine, great, but I want to be way up there. So even if I'm here, I still have a long way to go. I still have a long way to go. What's the word? What's the word means what's going on, what's happening, what are you doing right now? What's happening? That's what it means. So if I walk into a room and I say, "Hey, what's the word?" It means what's new, what's happening, what are you doing right now? Okay? It could mean how are you feeling? It's like, what's up? Okay? Yeah. Do smart people need friends? Yeah. Everybody needs friends. If you don't have friends, then you have a very big disadvantage in life, because friends are like filters. Friends can help you know more about the reality of you, right? So when you have no friends, if you live in your own world, then everything you believe is true. You believe everything because you have to, because you only have yourself. But when you have friends, if you have people who you truly respect and they respect you, then your friends will tell you when you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, or when they are bothered by something you do or something you feel or something you think. So friends are an extra filter in life to help you develop yourself more. If you have good friends, then they can help you to develop yourself, because they will help you know more about who you really are. Okay? But without friends, you have to figure everything out from your own point of view, and that's not likely going to happen. It's not likely going to happen. Okay? I only have one friend I'm serious about it, because I don't find the importance of having a... you don't find the importance of having a boyfriend? Is that what you're saying? Ellie, where are you, Ellie? What flag is that? It's not Ireland. It's oh, what is it? It's in Africa, and I always get those two flags mixed up. Congo. Is it not? Is it Congo? Oh, Ivory Coast. That's it. It's the Ivory Coast. That's why I always forget. It's the colors are almost the same. Okay, so the Ivory Coast. And how old are you, Ellie? How old are you? Bye, Esther. Take care. How old are you? "23." Okay. If you only want to have one friend, then that is up to you. But I'm just telling you that having friends is like having allies. An ally means someone who will fight with you, right? They'll fight for you because they believe in you, right? So can you go through life without any allies? Sure, you can go through life with no allies. But life is a lot easier if you have allies. And yeah, the more you have, the better. But quality is always better than quantity. So I would rather have a couple of good friends instead of 100 so-so friends. Yes, that's the word, allies. Allies. Or ALLY, if it's singular. And then as far as the importance of having a boyfriend, if that's what you're talking about, I cannot make that decision for you. Only you can make that decision. But I will tell you that I think it's okay, especially if you're focused on developing yourself, okay? Because in my opinion, one of the biggest mistakes that people make in relationships is they have a relationship with another person before they finished having a relationship with themselves. So what I mean is if you are not a complete person yet, if you are a very incomplete person, and now you want a relationship, and you have a relationship with another person who's also very incomplete, if you are two incomplete people, it's very likely it will not work. Because you're still growing. You are still growing. You are still developing. So if you are together, there's a good chance that you're going to grow and develop away from each other because you didn't grow and develop yet. So, in my experience, the first thing you should do is start working on yourself. Make yourself the person that you should be. Because if you're not, I can tell you from experience that if you meet the person you really want, you met the person you really want to be with, but you did not do anything to develop yourself, it won't work. Even if you find the right person, if you didn't work on yourself, that relationship will blow up. So the first thing you should do, if you want to have a good relationship with someone else, you must work on yourself. And I know that sounds very, very like, oh, everybody knows that, but nobody does it. Everybody knows it, but nobody does it. You know? So if you meet the perfect person tomorrow, but you have not done any work on yourself, well, then guess what? It's not going to work. All right? And in my experience, most relationships that fail because those people didn't develop themselves enough or at all. Sometimes people don't even know that you're supposed to develop yourself. There are many people in this world who wake up every day and they don't understand that you're supposed to try to be better today than you were yesterday. Whoever you were yesterday, try to be better today. That's your duty. That's your job, is to try to become a better person every day. And that's why education is important. Learning is one of the most important things. If you don't learn, you can't be a better person. If you don't learn, you can't be a better person. All right, so learn. And sometimes people say to me, how can I find a girlfriend or how can I find a boyfriend? And I tell them, you should not be looking out to find someone. You should be looking in to find yourself. Don't look out to find someone else. Look in and find yourself first. Okay? And also, be like a flower. Be like a flower. Does the flower say, hey, bee, come here, bee, please, come look at me, bee, please, like me, bees, I want the bees, please, bees, come here, please. No, the flower doesn't say, please come here, no. Why does the bee go to the flower? Why? Why does the bee go to the flower? Because the flower is interesting to the bee. The flower is interesting to the bee. So sometimes people say, why is nobody interested in me? And I will say, 'cause you're not interesting. They are not interested in you because you are not interesting. The bee will go to the flower if it looks nice, if it smells nice, if it has honey, if it has nectar, if it's interesting, the bee will go. The bee does not go if it's not interesting. So make yourself interesting, and then people will be interested. Okay, sometimes what I ask people is this, guys, this is, in particular, this is for guys. Look at me, guys. Guys, would you date you? Would you date you? If you say no, then you know why nobody is interested. Make yourself interesting. Develop yourself. Develop yourself. Okay? And then if you ask yourself the question, if you develop yourself and you make yourself interesting, then you can say, would you date you? Yeah, I would. I'm interesting. I would date me. All right? Make yourself interesting and people will be interested. Okay? But also for the guys, please look up here. I'm sorry, guys, but video games are not interesting. Video games are not interesting. Okay? Find something that's not a video game. Okay? People don't find the importance of wedding or marriage. So I know why, because in the past they put too much importance on weddings and marriages and not enough importance on them being real, right? So Ellie, a long time ago, and still today, they do tell everybody should get married. Everybody should get married. Everybody should have kids. That's a terrible idea, because you shouldn't just tell everybody they should do something. You should tell everybody they should do something if they are ready, if they are prepared. You should not just tell people, hey, everyone should get married, so just go do it. No, you should get married if you want to and you're ready to. That's not that hard to understand. Well, the idea of improving and developing yourself often means you are not acknowledging who you really are. Sometimes, yes, and that's partly why it helps to have friends, because sometimes friends can give you another perspective about yourself. Okay? Women are not so mean, Waleed. Women are not so mean, man. In my experience, men are a lot meaner than women. All right. So, look, again, all I am trying to do is I am a teacher. And what is my job? As a teacher, my job is to help you learn. But why? Why does a teacher help you learn? A teacher is helping you learn because learning is part of self development, learning is part of self growth. Okay? Learning is part of growth. So I'm just trying to tell you that your duty as a student of life is to develop yourself. And that means you have to learn a lot. You have to learn about the world. You have to learn about yourself. You have to learn about psychology and sociology and history. And you have to understand, why are you the way you are? Why are you you? Okay? Waleed, calm yourself, man. Calm yourself, Waleed. No, I will not let you blame women. I will not, Waleed. If you want to be a real man, which you seem like the kind of guy who talks about being a real man a lot, so I'm going to tell you, real men don't blame the women. Real men blame themselves because that's all you can do. Blaming somebody else will never, ever help you because you can't make them do anything. But blaming yourself, you can make yourself change. You can make yourself change. I knew you were going to say that. They always say this phrase, I would choose the bear. Do you know why, Waleed? Waleed, do you have any idea what it's like to be a woman? Waleed, for the better part of humanity, women have walked around in danger. For the better part of all of humanity, women have walked around in danger, man, in danger. What are they in danger from? Lions and tigers and bears? No, Waleed, they're not in danger from bears, man. They're in danger from men. And that is a fact. That is a fact, man. It's a fact. And I'm trying to tell you, Waleed, you are just like I was. How old are you again? What are you, 20-something, right? Remind me, how old are you? You're 30. Okay. So I think, Waleed, I don't feel that I was particularly attractive. I don't think that I started becoming a real man. I don't think I really did until I was about 32. Okay? So at the age of 32, that's when I started feeling like I was actually taking responsibility for myself instead of pointing the finger outward. Do you know what they say, Waleed? When you point a finger outward, there are 1, 2, 3 fingers pointing back at you. Look. So, Waleed, Don't blame anybody else, man. If you want something to be special, then you have to make it special. So love is a funny thing because love is something everybody wants to have love every time. They want it now. I want love right now. But you also want love to be special, right? You want it to be special, right? You can't have both. You cannot say, I want love, any kind of love. It doesn't matter. I just need love. But you're also saying, I want love to be special. Can't do that. You can't have both. You have to have, no, that doesn't work. If you want love to be special, then you have to make it special. And if it's special, it's not common. Special things are not common things. All right? So, Waleed, work on yourself, man. Work on yourself. You are the greatest project that you have. You are your own great work. You're the great project. You're the project. But did you know that? Did you know you're the project, Waleed? Did you know? Maybe you didn't know. You're the project. You're supposed to be working on yourself. So if you weren't successful yet, it's because you didn't work on yourself. But you know now. Now you know. So now you can figure it out. All right? All right. Enough about love. I'm not the love doctor. But I am finished with my coffee. All I'm saying is that as a teacher, I have seen so many students over the years. And students are always want love. They want a boyfriend, they want a girlfriend, they want someone who cares about them. But they don't understand that if you want someone to care about you, you must care about yourself. Nobody can care about you before you care about yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to learn who you are. You have to learn what's good and what's not good about you. You have to be honest about what's not good about you. All right? And what I'm saying is that's the one thing I see about people is they want love because they want someone else to be with them. But they are not someone full yet. They're not complete yet. Okay? In a perfect world, you would be complete before you have a good relationship. You'll be a complete person. Okay? He should work on his self-esteem. Well, how do you work on your self-esteem? How do you work on your self-esteem? Self-esteem is not something that you just tell yourself, oh, I'm great, I'm wonderful, I'm amazing. No, maybe you're not wonderful. Maybe you're not great. Maybe you're not amazing. So how do you make yourself great or amazing or wonderful? First, you have to look in the mirror and say, I'm not that great, I'm not that wonderful, I'm not that amazing. Then you can start trying to be. Okay? Oh, man, I'm tired. Did I miss anybody over here on my YouTube? I ignore the people on my YouTube too much. I'm sorry, YouTube people. for ignoring you so much. All right. So if you don't know who I am, hello, my name is Teacher Mark. I have been on Hello Talk for more than 12 years. I am a real teacher, and I have been live streaming here for more than 5 years, and I have about 90,000 followers around the world, and more than 1 million people have watched my live streams. Today I was teaching about the history of words. We were mostly talking about the history of words. But I teach about everything, mostly. Like, if you come to my live streams, most of my live streams are me answering questions. So you give me a question, and I will answer it as well as I can. As well as I can. I don't know everything, and maybe my answers are not always as good as someone else's answer. But if I can give you an answer that I feel is helpful or useful or valuable to you, then I will. So people ask me about grammar and vocabulary and pronunciation and reading and writing and listening and speaking. And they ask me about interviews and public speaking and accent and confidence. They ask me about all those things. All right? And that's the best thing you can do. My job is to answer questions. Your job is to ask them. But please, ask good questions. Ask good questions. Don't ask, how can I be good at English? That's not a good question. You know that. Be smart. Ask a real question. Okay? How can I be good at English? How can I learn English in 2 weeks? That's not a good question. All right? Hello, Ramana. How are you? Why didn't I get a creator tag in Hello Talk? I didn't bother. Naveen. I didn't bother. I don't know. I was the very first creator on Hello Talk. I'm the first person they asked to do live streams. So I don't know. I just didn't bother with all this. I don't know. I just didn't bother. I've been standing for a long time. Don't I get tired? No, I never get I don't get tired when I'm teaching if I'm standing. Teachers should stand. When you stand, you can move around. You can explain things. It feels more alive. It feels more organic. If I'm just sitting the whole time, it's boring, and that will hurt my back. But standing, no, I feel great. Teachers stand all day. Olha says, I don't agree with everything, but it's interesting listening to you. Well, thank you for that. You don't have to agree with me about everything. I don't insist upon agreeance on everything. I want you to have your own ideas. How can you get an American accent? So Mahi, there are 30 different American accents. This is only one of the American accents. But you are from India. So I will say the biggest problem that people from India have, if you speak Hindi or Telugu or what's the other one? Tamil. All of those languages, Tamil, Telugu, and Hindi, they all use a very small mouth when you speak. So if you want to sound like me, you need to use a big mouth. It will feel very weird. But that's one of the biggest differences. Okay? Yes, you should learn phonics, not phonetics. Phonics. Don't worry about phonetics, because phonetics is an extra step. You're reading the symbols. I don't care about the symbols. I only care about the sound. Americans, native speakers, we do not learn phonetics. We learn phonics. Phonics is just look at the letter and practice the sounds. We don't use an extra step of adding the written phonetics. Okay, phonics, Phonics, phonics. Phonetics is looking at the written symbols to know the sound. Phonics is just learning the sound that's assigned to letters. Okay? You want to speak like a native speaker? Yes, it's possible. Of course. Millions of people have done it. You know it's possible. Of course it's possible. All right. Nobody has any other questions. If nobody has any other questions, I'm going to go have lunch. I'm hungry. It's 1 o'clock. I have been here for 3 hours. Yeah, it's time for me to go. It's time for me to go. Assad, the best way is if you come here and watch me. And Assad, go to my website. Follow my website. Go to my YouTube. Follow my YouTube. Go. Here's my website. And here is my blog. Read my blog. Go to my website and use the resources to study. And go to my YouTube and watch the videos. Okay? Which American accent should you pick? Well, if you like the way I sound, this is called the Mid-Ohio accent. Midland, Ohio accent. This accent is the most neutral of all the accents in the United States. This one is the closest to IPA. Okay? What is the point of all the efforts despite the fact that at the end we will lose them? Who says you'll lose them? I don't understand. Why do you think you'll lose them? That's ridiculous. Why did you lose them? I didn't lose them. Why did you? You understand I've performed a lot in public. Interesting to look at, okay? What are the my secrets? I have no secrets. My secret is I've been doing this for a long time. My secret is that I started getting on stage when I was 18 years old. My secret is that I started teaching when I was 18 years old. And I'm 50 now. That's my secret. Experience. That's it. And Ersin, again, if you are new, then you should come here regularly and watch me and take notes and ask good questions. Okay? There are not many real teachers on Hello Talk. There are a few. I am one of them. Okay? The Midland, Ohio accent. That's the accent that I have. Okay? I look 38. I'll take that. I'll take that. What makes you a real teacher or me? I think the biggest thing that makes somebody a real teacher is, do you connect with them or not? If you connect with them, then they're a real teacher. You texted me in private, but I didn't answer. When did you text me, Assad? I don't know when you had texted me, first of all. And second of all, Assad, I have 90,000 followers. 90,000 people follow me. I get a lot of messages. I cannot answer every message. Okay? I try to answer some people. I do try to answer some messages. But I can't answer all the messages when you have so many followers. Okay? All right. I must go. I must go. I'm here Monday through Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. okay? And I'm here in the morning. So right now is 1 p.m., but I've been here for 3 hours and 10 minutes, okay? So I started like, what, 9:45? Around 9:45 or 10 is when I started today, okay? Assad, what did I just say, Assad? What did I just say? If you want something from me, you better do it here, Assad, because I cannot talk to everybody. I know what your name is. That's not the point. The point is, I have a life. I have been here for 3 hours and 10 minutes. Now I have to go eat lunch. I'm not going to talk to people right now. Okay? So, Assad, come back and follow me. Come here and watch me. That's all you need to do. Okay? I cannot help every person personally. I can help everybody here. All right? Come back and watch me here. Okay? All right. I have to go. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon. Have a good evening. I'll see you next time. Okay? Bye-bye. How to speak like a native. I did. Come watch me. That's